remember now those childhood days gone by. You woke up with the morning sun. It was warm and live and fun. I'm a roll, don't turn around, I'm a
Hello friends, fans and enemies, welcome back to another Zane-Destiny video. This will be a video progression series on our purple deck. We entered the locals today and didn't do too bad. Now we did run I'd say an improved Musketeer deck compared to last time. Last time I had Lilith Moment thrown in and didn't work so great. So out of 8 games, won 2.5, which isn't great, but it's still marginally good. Unfortunately, most of the games went on for a long time, and that's due to the kind of deck I was playing, Musketeers, obviously. Did do a misplay, but I don't think it would have made too much difference in the Hexablaumon I was pitted against. And I will say Craniumon. Jeez, that card is difficult to deal with if you're not prepared. If you don't know, Craniumon is a blocker, and anything with blocker is immune to nearly all effects unless you beat over him. And unfortunately, my beaters weren't anywhere to be seen or were previously dealt with. So it was kind of a little frustrating with that. So let's quickly go into the deck profile, and I'll probably do some discussions of things that happened and say about improvements. So straight into the eggs, we've got the 1 Tsunamon and the 4, obviously Demimeramon. Demimeramon works a lot better in this because for the cycling of draw power, but also the strategy of I would mainly attack on my rookies, strangely enough, and most of my rookies have deletion effects, or I wasn't worried about them being destroyed or anything like that. So Demimeron is definitely helpful in that sort of regard. Tsunamon was just, if I had another Digimon that had Tsunamon as a source, that was just a means for extra draw power, which was handy. So this ratio I am pleased with. I am happy. Now going on to the rookies, I played 3 Labramon. So Labramon's effect is draw 1, discard 1. Very helpful when coupled with Tsunamon, and plus just getting additional draw power in your hand. And then I also played 4 Soundbirdmon. So obviously a Musketeer deck, you're going to have a lot of option cards. You also want a decent amount of memory. So not only did Soundbirdmon he was my main attacker. He had a Demimeramon or a Tsunamon underneath him, and he was going for security. Most of the time, he wasn't being blocked for that because, well, they wanted to block my 10k plus speed sticks. But having this guy gaining memory and chipping away at security was very helpful, and part of me thinks maybe I should cut him down to 3 because I did see him quite regularly, but then I don't want to destroy the consistency, because if he does have Tsunamon, I can always draw a card, and if he does get destroyed, I've not only trashed a option card for more memory, potentially a level 7 option card for Beelstarmon, but also Demimeramon's effect of draw one, trash one. So I think I will be happy keeping him as is. I did run 2 Gazimon. Now, this format is very memory boosting paced, so it doesn't block Tamer memory boosting, but there's a lot of like red memory boost, purple memory boost, a lot of that being played. I never really got around to using him. He was brought out just to scare the opponent, but a few of the opponents I was playing never really used any memory boosting effects, or he just wasn't on the field when they were. I think the only person that I remember was the Hexablaumon, and that's because he kind of had to. So I'm undecided whether to continue keeping him as a 2 of to stop potential future plays, or reduce him down to the 1. There is a good chance I might be able to, with the cycling of the cards in this deck, it might be okay just playing the one of and use them, well, replace them with something else, something that would give me more DP. Then we run the 2 Impmon. So this is the BT2 version. This is the normal when deleted trash-free cards. Very handy, very helpful. Also gets helpful when I do the Warp Digivolution, but also coupled with any of our babies, well, mostly the Demomeramon. Very nice at getting stuff into the trash and cycling through your deck a lot faster. And then we're additionally playing the 4 BT6 Impmon. So this is the one where you trash one card in your hand and you can add a 7 Great Demon Lords or a Musketeers card to your deck, to your hand. Didn't really use them that much, strangely. I seem to consistently get Musketeer cards back into my hand one way or another. So I may decide to bump him down to 3, who knows. But yeah, it's a little difficult now. It's all up in the air. Because well, what I was expecting to go against, I didn't really go against, which I thought was unique to say the least. So that was the level 3s. Let's get on to level 4, starting off with only 2 Vilemon. So this is the purple blocker of the group. And additionally, I also ran 1 Mechanorium. This guy is, I've learned to appreciate him a hell of a lot more. So if you don't know his effect, he can't attack. He's only a 4 caster play and he's 6k DP. He's a blocker, and when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon and survives a battle, you can unsuspend it. So against Rookie Rush, you can keep wiping them all out. And that did throw off a couple of people because they didn't realise. They thought it was once per turn. I was like, no, it happens multiple times. It happens until you destroy him. So if I did just decrease any of my rookies, maybe take out the 1 BT6 Impmon, I will definitely up this guy to 2. Just so it was nice seeing him, but I think I would like to see him a little bit more, just to cause a little bit more mayhem. And then I did also play the 1 Ginkakumon promote. So I do run Nailbone in this deck, and the idea was if I were to, say for example, use Nailbone or use the effect of Omnimon's Vort and bring out a blocker, for example, it will protect my Digimon on my opponent's turn. And then when it came back to me, if I wanted to quickly swing for game or swing for a security, just quickly play this guy for 1 just to rush in and destroy, basically. Or if I was forced to, well, actually, no, Nailbone will come into play. If I did play Nailbone as a Bleostarmon, technically Vilemon wouldn't be able to attack. Well, Digivolve for 1, suddenly he's got what rush. That was the idea theory, and I think I had too many cards devoted to that theory, if that makes sense. Like, Nailbone didn't really do me too many favours. That's because I'm not running all that many purple level 4s. So I think I will remove Promote, because he's great in theory, but I don't think he yet quite matches what the deck's trying to do. And last but not least, of course, I'm running 4 Deputy Mon. This guy is necessary to get your Musketeer cards in your hand, basically. On play, reveal 4, add a option card or Musketeers card, and you can also warp Digivolve him to any of the Musketeer cards. Strangely enough, didn't really need him that much, so I'm not going to cut him down, because knowing me, if I cut him down to 3, I'm never going to see him. But he was used a few times to get some cards in my hand and in my trash, but he wasn't absolutely necessary, let's just say that. So that's the champions. As I said, I'll probably get rid of the promotes and add another Mechanorium, maybe potentially up the Vilemon to 3. So we'll see about that one. Now we'll get to our level 5s, and be prepared, there's quite a lot of them. Got the 1 Rebellimon. So Rebellimon is good. I put in quotes because, well, he digivolves from purple and black, so that's nice. He also has the effect, if you discard a card, you can give him retaliation and blocker. So he's kind of like a safety turn, which did throw off a couple people, except for the Craniumon, because Craniumon can't be destroyed by effects, which was frustrating as anything. but I think I will still keep him in a deck. I will also keep the one Skull Greymon still. I would regularly discard him to put him under, say, for example, a blocker or even just a level 3 just to be a little bit imposing. There are ways to out it. Like, I believe when he was put under a Beelzemon, just because it was the only target I had, it was gotten rid of with Digivolution card. So there are ways to out them, but then they do have to specifically out those Digimon because it's a potential threat to anything that they have suspended and decide to attack into. So only running a 2 because you don't really need that many level 5s. You can warp to 6 straight off the bat. But I did originally last time have 2 of these, but I think that was too bricky. But this ratio I think is nice because even if I don't have the option to warp Digivolve, I can at least go to level 5 to pull off some effects just to upset the opponent a little. Okay, now we're getting into our level 6s. I am running the 3 Gundramon. Yes, opening that box the other day was helpful because I had a 3 to play with. I don't think I'll play more than 3, because I found quite often I was hard playing this guy for 11, which did give my opponent a lot of memory, but then there was times where I had so much memory that it didn't matter, but it was worth it because of his blocker ability. So I was hardly digivolving this guy, using his real top 5 play an option card of 7. Didn't come up so much, but the fact that he was a blocker and he was upsetting some strategies was helpful. Unfortunately, he's only 11k blocker, so I was up against a Gallopmon, which would have overthrown him. Craniumon, annoyingly, is a 12k as well, so yeah, it does have its shortfalls, but I kind of like him at 3. Also, played 3 Beelzemon. She done me a lot of work. I am so happy I ended up getting... I ended up buying 2 singles because I needed it, basically. And I'm glad I did because it made the deck... I'm absolutely impressed how Musketeer's decks work, all because for each Musketeer card or level 7 option card, you reduce their cost by 1. I was able to play it for free, which was absolutely funny and insane. Um, the only thing was I felt the other ratios of cards I had and the fact that she's only 11k kind of upsets the deck a little. I do need things that has more big or beefy attack power. May even play option cards to accommodate for that, or just play slightly different cards to get to her a little faster. And in the last Mega level 6, I played the Beelzemon. So I I am happy having him in a deck. It might seem like a useless slot, but once again, I should point out, didn't really get a chance to use his Digivolving ability. That if you don't use an option card, you can delete a Digimon with 4 or less. Because I was up against Block Craniumon, and all they had was blockers that was protected. Same thing with Beelzemon. He can delete level 4, but if they're protected by something else, then it's pointless. He did get a swing over a Hexablau card, one of the monsters in the Hexablaumon deck. I'm happy to have Beelzemon in here, and the fact that I'm running 6 Impmons at the moment, it makes it consistent to pull off. I only have the 1, but I don't think I would ever run more than 1 anyway. Plus, look at that lovely art. It's beautiful art. And obviously it goes so well with Beelzemon. Yeah. Again, he's only 11k though, so this is my issue, is that the majority of my boss monsters aren't heavy hitters, unfortunately. So originally, I decided to accommodate that by running a few level 7s. So first of all, Millenniumon. Millenniumon was the necessary removal I needed that wasn't to do with option cards. So I do have a few option cards for removal, but Millenniumon's removal is, when digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck and trash all Digivolution sources, which is nice for different types of removal. A card like Craniumon, for example, it can't be removed by option cards, we'll just say that. But it can be beaten over, it can be DP reduction, or it can be bounced back to hand, which Millenniumon would have been good for. Unfortunately, I ended up milling my Millenniumon. So yeah, that was kind of it for that. So the other option would have been, oh wait, Omnimon's Vault. Of course, he's a big beefy basic. Sing with Millenniumon, 13k. Omnimon's Vault, 15k. When Digivolving, trash the top 3 cards of your deck and play 2 black or purple Digimon with a play cost of 8 or less. Didn't get the full use of this effect because, well, these guys are good, but if they can't attack straight away, then they're kind of pointless summoning, so you just end up summoning more blockers or whatnot. So that effect was good, but he was also needed for his 15k to beat over. But unfortunately, the Craniumon player was able to remove him. I think it was a D-Digivolve, which was against, I've forgotten its name, but is it a Chikurimon? The little spike ball that was checked in security, and of course he was able to select my Omnimon that had a Beelstarmon underneath it as an evolution source, and he basically sent my Omnimon to the trash, and my Beelstarmon was just there, kind of like naked. Yeah, so there was enough outs for that Craniumon player, unfortunately. And additionally, I did play the Omnimon Sword Defeat. I ended up digivolving into this guy quite a few times. Never saw him security, which very unlikely if you're only running a 1. But his digivolving ability of deleting a tamer was good. Unfortunately, he never really got deleted, if I remember rightly. I don't think he got a chance to. It didn't really get to that point where the opponent needed to delete it to defeat me. It ended up that I would be close to milling, or they'll just get rid of my security. If I do have the space, I think ideally I would still keep the 3 of these, but I think I might bump the number of Millennium up to 2. Omnimon's Vault is okay, but like I said, I don't have enough ideal targets to get the full effect of play cost of 8 or less, especially considering most of my level 6s, I'm not exactly going to be digivolving the traditional way. So I think the fact Millenniumon's like generic like removal, I think he'll be more ideal to bump up to 2. So yes, that's my thought process on that one. And what should we do? We should go on to the option cards, and there's a myriad of option cards. Of course, the Musketeer deck, you're going to want a few because of Beelstarmon's effect of reducing Digivolution cost for each 7 cost. So, first, played 2 Nailbone. Now, I definitely will decide to decrease this down to at least 1. Again, I played 2 in the hopes that if I did want to do like a Ginkakumon promote rush or a blocker or anything like that, this was meant to be for that. But I think 2 is a bit too many, made it a bit bricky, unfortunately. Trump Sword. I don't normally like Trump Sword because it doesn't remove things that are suspended, but the amount of times I use this guy instead of Fly Bullet, yeah, I'm going to keep him as he is, I think. Also, I ran 2 Happy Bullet Showering. I only saw this guy once, and it was used to remove a Hexablaumon for like the 2nd or 3rd time. I do feel sorry for that Hexablaumon player because he kept on building up. He kept on trying to stop me from attacking because I had no Digimon with Digivolution sources, and I kept finding ways to get rid of it, and it was driving him nuts. But yeah, Happy Bullet Showering, I'm happy with that ratio. Hydraulic Trauma, obviously another Musketeer card, and delete everything with a play cost of 7 or less. I was hesitant to play this a few times, and well, I had Mechanorium on, a blocker, I think it was a blocker, and a level 3. And my opponent basically had to set up that on the next turn that went to him, he would have got a Hexablaumon, basically freezing my board. But instead, I had this in my hand and Happy Bullet Showering, and I was weighing my options, and I thought, well, if I play Gewaltschwarmer, I would destroy all my monsters and destroy his, but I'd be left with nothing. So I don't know why. I could have potentially still played Good Voltshormer because I had Mechanorium on, but I ended up playing Happy Bullet Showering onto the one Digimon that they had. I think it was like a Pieldramon, and I still had Good Voltshormer in my hand. And of course, that when their turn came up, they were bringing their Hexablaumon. What I should have done is taken the self-destructive reset and played this, destroyed my board, destroy his board, and then when he still would have brought his Hexablaumon up, I could have played one of my 3 fly bullets to basically get rid of Hexablaumon again. Because either way, as soon as Hexablaumon came out in the field, nearly all my Digimon didn't. Normally in this deck, there's no Digivolution sources. So even if I had a blocker, it was useless because they couldn't attack or block. So I should have played this. Went to their turn. After they got a Hexablau, then I should have played this. Would have used up their resources. But hey ho, that was the way the cookie crumbled, unfortunately. So it's more of a learning curve, but definitely I will reduce nail bone by 1. I am not fussed if I'm knocking down a level 7 option card, because as you can see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I got 12 option cards as it is. Add the 3 BL Starmon, 15, and then 3 Gundramon, that's 18. Even if I knock off 1, that's still 17 points reduction for a BL Starmon, which is more than enough. And like I said, I was able to play a BL Starmon for free, which I thought was funny. And last but not least, let's get to the Tamers. The one Matt, just memory fixing Tamer, didn't really miss the 3 memory all that much, but although I was able to get him out as well as 2 Izzy Azuma and Joe Kiddos, getting 7 memory a turn, which was hilarious. I think if I do have the space, I would like to prioritize these 2 a whole lot more, because most opponents I was playing against were getting at least 2 out. So even if I cut out Joe, potentially that's 6 memory just from, pardon me, just from 3 Tamers. But I think, no, I should have Matt in there as well to get any sources back or any BL Stars mons back from my graveyard. Trash. So definitely consider bumping these up. So my thought process, I felt I saw the BT6 Impmon a little too much, so I may decide to cut him down. I want to say I should cut down a Soundbirdmon, but then I think I shouldn't. Same with the Gazimon. I don't think I should cut them down either. So I think rookie count, I may decide to either up the number of this, basically trade the Impmon, so cut these down to 3 and bump him into another BT2 version. I may decide against that in the end. Who knows? Champion wise, definitely replace promote with another Mechanori. And if I do have space, get another Viralmon in there and just have another blocker. Or just another thing I can Digivolve into to get some more draw power. Level 5s I'll leave the same. I'm happy with them. I don't think I'll want to cut them. Level 6s, I'm going to leave these the same also. I don't want to add Mad Kidmon because I don't think he's going to be... The only way I can Digivolve into him is from Deputymon, and Deputymon was getting rid of quite easily, so I don't want to waste resources on a red that I may not potentially play. Level 7s, definitely want to up the number of Millenniumon, so I'll probably use the other Nailbone to turn into that. There will be some more tweaking that will need to be done to do the changes that I want, but overall, I was happy with the way the deck performed. Unfortunately, again, like I said, most of my games were very, very long. There was only 5 of us playing, so one of us had to, was it weigh up or something like that? So yeah, like I said, I won 2 games. It was like a best out of 3. And so I played a total of 8 matches, won 2 games, drew 1 because the game was just lasting way too long. I want to say I probably could have won it, but then it's hard to say. I did do a few misplays, but that just comes in experience with the deck. I do feel like I've got a good calling with this deck strategy. I seem to be improving a lot faster with the purple than I have with the yellow, because yellow I'm still very sketchy about, but I seem to have some sort of semblance or some sort of, I don't know, it's more understanding playing this deck to me. Either it's because it's got a simpler strategy or it's just a bit more straightforward. I don't know. But I do like the fact that I'm upsetting a lot of people with these option cards. I do need to find more outs to certain deck types, but I think it might be possible. And hey, if not, I'll just switch to some sort of budget version of security control just to piss off people. But anyways, that's a deck profile, guys. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye bye.